And I want you to imagine, or you maybe went to basketball camp to learn how to be a better basketball player. And I want you to imagine, what if we spent that same time we spent learning how to be doctors, lawyers, and nurses, and spent that same amount of time learning how to build a community, or learning how to raise healthy kids, or learning how to have a good marriage, or learning how to be healthy, period, mentally and physically. I guarantee you that that second investment would pay off at a much higher level than the previous investment, where you're specifically being trained to specifically serve somebody else. In a way, the way I think a lot of us are end up being raised is similar to Coming to America, where you had that point where the prince in the beginning was going to get married, and this beautiful girl comes in, and she's like, she's so queen to be, right? And she's absolutely gorgeous. And this gorgeous woman, without knowing like the fact that she's so pretty, she could get all kinds of men. She's focused on one man and serving one man, and that's it. So he's like, well, so what do you like to do? She's like, whatever you like. Right? Like, what? So tell me about your life. And she says, I've been trained to serve you. That's it. That's what I've been raised to do. So that means that number one, she doesn't realize her worth. She doesn't know that she could be a wonderful woman to a lot of men. She doesn't know that she's also the prize too. But then number two, when he says, I don't want you, then she has no purpose. She literally has no purpose. She's depressed. Like, what am I going to do now? I spent all my time preparing to serve this person, and I don't know anything else. I don't know any other options for myself. That's what I see when I see a Black person who gets laid off from their job. And so because they can't get a job, they just sit there and do nothing, because you've been trained your whole life to basically serve this other person. And when they don't serve you, or when they don't accept your service and they don't want you anymore, you end up in this position that I think is beneath you. You're in a position where we end up looking somewhat desperate. We end up wasting a lot of time. You waste a lot of resources. So this beautiful woman, because the prince did not want her, she wasted a ton of beauty. A lot of y'all saw that movie. That was a beautiful Black woman, right? But so really the best pivot she could have done, the best thing her dad could have done for her, is to say, look, hey, we're gonna get you ready to marry the prince. That's the plan. But just know you got a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D. We got lots of other amazing men you could be married to, lots of things you can do with your life beyond just this. This skill that you've acquired is not focused on one outcome. There's not one thing you can do with the skill. I have to have this conversation with a lot of PhDs, believe it or not. I know a lot of PhDs who are super smart people, super highly trained at the absolute highest level. But when the university doesn't want them, or the university mistreats them, all they can do is sit and be sad about it. All they can do is complain. All they can do is get on food stamps and say, look at how bad they're treating me. This ain't right. Or I wish I could get a job, or I'll take any job I can get. And I'm the guy that says, well, just leave the damn industry. You're smart. You're hardworking. You got all this skill. If you figured out how to do microbiology at the highest levels, you could probably learn how to start a business too. Like, it takes less skill to learn how to be an entrepreneur or an investor than it takes to get a PhD in nuclear physics. For God's sake. Good Lord Jesus, what happened to your self-esteem? This is where I really learned that self-esteem is so important. You got to know your worth, man. You got to always know you have value. Whether it's dating or job seeking or anything, if you really know your worth and you have really made the investment in yourself and the things that you care about, the people you care about, then you're going to have the value around you. You will be surrounded by untold amounts of riches in your life, because you're going to know that you're sitting in the sweet spot. You're going to know, look, if they're not interested, that's okay, because somebody else will be, because what we build over here is nice.